At last night's Democratic debate, Anna Kasparian, Jimmy Dore, and myself all felt that Bernie had won at least a narrow victory over Hillary Clinton. And that's us, and that's probably not that surprising to you. But what did the people watching the debate actually think? We don't have any immediate polls, certainly not, at least not online polls, but we do have some data about how the debate, both during it and after it, affected people's online activity. Were they tweeting about the candidates? Were they going to find out more about the candidates? And we're going to show you that data right now. So first we bring up a search interest chart. And what you're seeing there is throughout the course of the debate, blue is Clinton, yellow is Sanders. I would probably reverse those. And you see that throughout the majority of the debate, I would say that it's roughly similar levels of interest. You see a couple of big spikes at 9:30 and at 10 having to do with Sanders that she doesn't have, but she has the big spike at 10:30, and then they both go a little bit lower. But what you notice is that right after the debate, after 11, she's doing about as well as she was doing throughout the debate, maybe a little bit lower, and he spikes up immediately. Now, many people online have been pointing out that people are less likely to know much about Bernie Sanders at this point, and so this doesn't necessarily mean that they think he won. It just means that they want to find out more about him, which I would say means that he won in a sense. If people are watching the debate and they're thinking, you know what? I want to find out more about Bernie Sanders. That's exactly what the point of these debates are, especially when you're the candidate who's not in the lead nationally. You're trying, and you have lower name recognition. You're trying to get people more interested in you, and apparently that worked, at least based on search interest. Now, let's bring up this next map. You're going to see a breakdown state by state of who won in Google Trends. Now, there are a couple of states where Clinton won. I'm counting 5 out of the 50, maybe Hawaii. It's hard to tell. It was really small. But this was largely a nationwide phenomenon where more tweeting and all of that for Google was going on for Sanders. We don't have the graphic for you, but I also saw that Clinton narrowly beat Sanders 54-46, I believe, in mentions on Twitter. But I would personally say that doesn't necessarily mean that people were tweeting positive things about her or about him necessarily. I talked about Hillary quite a bit in my tweets, and probably 1 out of 10 were positive. So I would bear that in mind as well. So that's activity and searches, but that can only tell us so much. How do we figure out what they were trying to find out about these candidates? Were they coming out of the debates with a positive or a negative view of the candidates? Well, we do have a little bit of info on that. Now, if we bring up this next graphic, you're going to see the top 5 questions about Hillary Clinton, specifically in New Hampshire. And this is the next primary coming up next Tuesday. Now, how old is Hillary Clinton? You can say that that's sexist, and you'd probably be on the right path. I'm sure a lot of people were asking that about Bernie as well. They're both pretty old. Now, in terms of are these positive or negative questions, do they imply that the person liked or didn't like them? Well, you see who can beat Hillary. That could go either way. Where is Hillary Clinton today? Probably positive. It implies that they're trying to track her. Maybe they want to go see her speak. Will Hillary win? That could be positive. It could also imply that people are starting to doubt the inevitability of her ability to beat Bernie Sanders and win a general election. And then how much is Hillary Clinton worth is not the question Hillary Clinton wants you to be Googling about her, especially considering the content of that debate, where the economy and her enrichment at the hands of Wall Street was a very large portion of it. Now next, the 5 questions about Bernie Sanders. How did he compare to Hillary Clinton? Where will Bernie Sanders be speaking? Very similar to one of the questions that Hillary got. His is actually the first, the highest, which that's what you want as a candidate. Why Bernie Sanders? That's probably negative. I'm hoping that once you Google that, you get information that lets you answer the question of why, but that's probably a negative there. Who would be his VP? Very neutral. How to donate to Bernie Sanders? Doesn't technically have a question mark, still a question though, and probably what you want as Bernie Sanders, and where can I see him? So overall, I know that I'm interpreting these questions, obviously, but it seems like the questions being asked about Bernie imply a level of interest and a level of perhaps new support that the questions about Hillary certainly did not communicate, at the very least to the same amount as for Bernie Sanders. So going by the evidence that I've presented to you, I feel quite comfortable, quite confident in being able to say that the debate audience, those watching in New Hampshire and voting in just a couple of days, there's a good chance that they were feeling the burn. And that's my final judgment.